G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I hope you're having a fantastic day. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user No More Promises 02, titled, "If he doesn't buy his plane ticket on Wednesday, I'm done." My boyfriend, 26 male, and I, 21 female, have been together for close to 2 years. It's been long distance this whole time, and not once has he come to visit me. 6 months into our relationship, he was talking about coming to visit me, and it kept being pushed back month by month. We had a very in-depth talk about his financials early on in our relationship, because being responsible is important to me, but it's not something that he's good at. Over the 2 years I've known him, the most he has ever had in his bank account is $500. I've offered many times to do his finances for him and write out budget sheets, and each time I did that, he wouldn't use them. For the past 4 months, we decided that he would visit me mid-June. Mid-June is in like 2 weeks now, and he still hasn't purchased his flight. Literally, all he has to do is purchase the flight. The hotel rooms, food, events, all of that I am taking care of. I'm just so sick and tired of being an afterthought. I'm currently trying to go to college and get my foot in the door so I can have a career, but he has no drive for that. It seems like he's fine working a bottom-wage job for the rest of his life. I don't want to be someone's sugar mama for the rest of my life. I don't want to support him financially forever. Independence is something that I value, for both me and my partner, and he doesn't have that. I have offered to fly over multiple times, but he doesn't want me to spend a bunch of money because of him, so I haven't. Yet I've still borrowed him hundreds of dollars so he can make rent or eat. He has a job that pays about $18 an hour, and he lives with his parents who don't charge him rent. He literally makes more than me, has to pay less than me, and has no money. Yet he can't tell me where the money goes. FFS, I'm just tired of it. If he is unable to visit me in June, we are done. Hell, we might be done regardless. Anyways, thanks for listening to my little rant. In the comments, Jew Librarian says, "Be done now and save you the anxiety." OP replies, "I'm thinking about it. Regardless, I'm waiting until next Thursday. He has that day and of the next off, so if I break his heart on Thursday, he can grieve on Friday and not be torn up at work or something, I guess." Let him be torn up. He didn't deserve you. OP replies, "Aside from the financial stuff and a few other things, he really is a great guy, to be honest. He deserves a good woman, but I just can't be that woman right now. I don't want to hurt him any more than I really have to. I'm not the type of person to be able to intentionally hurt someone, even if they might deserve it." He sounds like an overgrown kid. You are 5 years younger, but you are much further into the adulthood life phase than he is. And OP replies, "Yeah, I'll give you that. I had to grow up pretty damn quick. I guess I just wish he and I were both on the same wavelength." So, you two only know each other virtually? Sorry, but that's not a boyfriend, but a pen pal. That aside, if he wanted to be with you, he would, but he just doesn't care enough. Do yourself a favor and dump his sorry ass. He is 5 years older than you and doesn't have goals. What does he even bring to the table? Date people, not projects. OP replies, "Yeah, I'm starting to see that. Took too long to open my eyes. Better now than never. Don't beat yourself up." And OP says, "Yeah, for sure. I might be late to the party, but I'm still young. I still have my whole life ahead of me." So he lives at home and doesn't pay rent, yet you're lending him money to make his rent? And OP says, "He moved in with his parents recently. He used to have roommates at the beginning of our relationship." Right, that makes more sense. Hopefully he does right by you, but it doesn't sound good. Is he aware of how close to the end of the relationship you are? Or is this a case of, "You failed to read my mind, so we're done"? Either way, it sounds like he needs to get his shit together and prioritize. Unless he already is prioritizing, in which case that shows you where you stand on his priority list, and is telling in and of itself. Either way, I wish you well in finding the resolve that you seek. OP replies, "I've had multiple conversations with him about it. We even took a break back in October over something similar. It was probably less than 2 weeks ago that I brought this up again. Thank you for your well wishes." And now, onto the update. Thank you to everyone who commented for the much-needed reality check. The wake-up call was long overdue, and I decided to break up with him last night instead of waiting until next week. He didn't exactly take it well, and kept asking me why. I explained everything I possibly could, and he still didn't get it. He was convinced that something happened recently in my life for me to randomly break up with him. In the end, he accepted it, but is questioning whether or not he and I can reconnect in the future if he and I have both grown. I kind of left the door open, which I don't know if I should have, but aside from the issues I listed for him, he really was a good partner. He wants to still be friends, which I'm not sure about at the moment. I told him we need at least 3 or 4 months before we even attempt to speak again, which I know is difficult for him. He already texted me a handful of times. I just hope he'll be okay. Thank you everyone for opening my eyes. I hope that this will be my last update, but if we somehow do reconnect in the future, I will let you guys know. In the comments, McMurmel says, I read your last post. You did the right thing. I would keep distance and do not consider getting back with him later. He wants to because he doesn't have to do any work or effort. You don't need it. OP replies, I think more than anything, I left the door open so that he wouldn't take it as hard. I know that's harsh, but I know he's going to move on eventually. I don't like lying like that, but if I had to cut ties completely, I feel like he would have done something to himself. And just in case of that possibility, I texted his mum to see if she would keep an eye on him. Susie Sunshine 17 says, time to block him. You are being too accommodating. He has disrespected and ignored your boundaries and is pretending not to understand. No contact means no contact. He doesn't respect your no, and that's huge. Block him so he can face natural consequences of his bad behavior and so that you can end this frustrating chapter of your life. And OP replies, yeah, I know. At the moment, I've just silenced all messages from him. I'm not going to respond to anything. I'm just going to monitor it for a bit until I know he's not going to self-expire himself. Those threats are a form of emotional abuse, by the way. He is not a good partner. You were merely a convenience to him. Also, you established a boundary by refraining from contact for 3 or 4 months, and he immediately bulldozed it by sending you text messages. I seriously suggest you block him from everything, including your mind, and move on. He's been a waste of time all along, although I do hope that you learned a thing or two about life and of yourself. P.S. I see that you were soft with him because you fear he might harm himself. I can't be sure, but if he hasn't made any attempts at meeting you for the duration of your relationship, I highly doubt that. You were a constant in his life, sure, but that's no longer a concern of yours. Oof, pretty messy situation that one, but I can't blame OP for setting up those boundaries. I can blame him for stomping all over them. Love bombing and threats of abuse just come with the territory of some people like that, and as unfortunate as it is, feel like you've just got to be strong like OP and continue to ignore them and block them out of your life. Anyway guys, I'd love to know your opinions on this story. Let me know in the comments down below. Our next post is by user Throwaway23, titled, Am I the asshole for telling my friend to stop using my life to get petty clout and to live her fantasy somewhere else? I, 17 female, have 8 older brothers. Without getting into too much detail, there's a few adoptions and half-siblings in the mix, but I'm close to all of them, and while my life can be crazy sometimes, I wouldn't trade them for the world. It is also relevant that I don't have either of my parents in my life, and I haven't since I was 11. The issue involves my close friend, 17 female, who I have known since we were 4. For about a year now, she's been consistently posting on social media about her best friend's super hot older brothers, and the terrible tale of how she ended up in a love triangle with her best friend's brothers, and it's seriously annoying. She's never really had anything to do with my brothers. They know her as my little sister's friend, and nothing more, so I really don't see where all of this is coming from. Over the last few weeks, however, it has gotten so much worse. She'll actively tell stories to people at our school about the steamy romance that is her life, and bringing me a lot of unwanted attention. I have tried to talk to her about it, but she always says that she would never do anything to hurt me, and she's just living her life, which doesn't even make sense. I've mentioned it so many times that I've started to avoid hanging out with her because I know my brothers will come into it, and I'll have to ask her to knock it off again. Everything came to a head yesterday. We went out with some friends and 4 of my brothers dropped us both off. When we both got inside, half of the girls in the group immediately started talking to my best friend about the good-looking guys in the car, and whether those were the hot men that she was talking about. I snapped and yelled, "Those are my brothers, and I swear to God, friend, if you don't stop using my life to get petty clout, I'm cutting you off. Quit living your fantasy through me. Do it somewhere else." And left, which I feel like was really harsh and probably could have waited until we were in private. She called me later to tell me that she wanted some space from our friendship because I was becoming jealous, needy, and controlling ever since she got close to my brothers, which isn't even remotely true. All of my brothers so far have told me to just stop being friends with her, but she's been really important in my life for a long time, and I don't want to ruin what we have, but at the same time, I don't want to keep letting her use my life for her fantasy. Am I the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I feel like I was too harsh, but she's been doing this for a long time and never listened to me before. I'm gonna go with not the asshole for this one. I feel like, yes, you have a gigantic amount of time so far of your life invested into this girl, but do not let the sunk cost fallacy cloud your judgment. If you feel that it's the right thing to cut this girl off or go extremely low contact with her, then I respect that. Yes, you've been harsh, but you need to be harsh with people in these situations. You being harsh wasn't rude, it was giving her the dose of reality that she deserves, and she continues to disrespect your boundaries, so why respect the friendship with her? I wouldn't blame you for going further and cutting her off, and in that case you still wouldn't be the asshole. Now in the comments, Emotional Koala says, "Not the asshole. Duckling, this girl is not your friend. Listen to your brothers. They sound like they've got your back and can see the situation with better perspective. Real friends listen when you ask them not to make you uncomfortable. Real friends generally don't drool openly about your direct family members, and real friends don't sulk and name-call when they get called out on their nonsense. Not the asshole, but it sounds like your friend is completely invested in your brothers being main players in her life fantasy. Pretty sure the only thing you can do to shut her voice out is to completely cut her off. It won't stop her, but you will no longer have to hear about it. Other than that, the only thing that might stop it would be for a brother to drop you off and shut her down directly before driving away. Not the asshole. I'd talk to your school counselor. Her behavior is too weird to be healthy. Not just that, but depending on your brothers' ages, could mess with their reputations. As older brothers are older, most of them could be over 21, and these stories could escalate to having the police involved. Girl, she's fetishizing your brothers. Effing run. Not the asshole. And now, onto the update. Hi everyone. I have a small update for those who would like to hear it, and I'd also like to say thank you to all the people who gave advice and opinions. So the first thing I did was have a proper talk with my brothers about everything that's been going on. I showed them the post and all the comments I received, and they took a minute to read them before speaking. One of my brothers, Sam, assured me they had never been flirty, romantically interested, or sexual with my friend at any point in time. There was never a time when any of them were alone with her for more than a minute. Not gonna lie, that made everything so much easier. I was terrified one of them was going to admit to having done something with her. We also talked about her recent behaviors. I told them about what she had been saying, and then Sam spoke up. He said that in the past, they had heard my friend intentionally telling people strange things about me in order to make it seem like I wasn't a person who you'd want to be friends with. They'd overheard these conversations at my house when I wasn't around or doing something and she was waiting for me. Things like, she's too clingy, or she's too controlling, to even telling people that I'd slept with one of my brothers. It hurt a lot. So you guys were right. She has been isolating me from people. After our talk, I needed to get some air, so I went for a walk. My friend ended up calling me, and I answered. I know, stupid, but I was hurt and wanted to know if she really had done those things. The conversation went like this. Her. Listen, OP, we've been friends for a long time, and I don't want to hurt you, but this friendship has become really toxic. I reply, are you serious? I know what you've been saying about me. You're a liar and a creep, and the only toxic thing in this friendship is you. She replies, I've literally never lied to you in my life, so I don't know what you think I've said or done, but you're wrong. It's not my fault people don't want to be your friend because you're weirdly possessive. I reply, "You literally told people that you were dating my brothers. That's gross and really messed up." She replies, "This is what I mean. You aren't acting like yourself anymore. I feel like ever since we got older, you've started to become obsessed with attention. I don't like this version of you. It isn't my best friend." I hung up after that, and now I feel like shit. She was my best friend. I have no idea what to do next because she hasn't stopped blowing up my phone since the call. I want to block her, but I just can't do that. I feel like an absolute failure. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I don't have a clue what I'm going to do next. I want to tell her parents, but what would I even say? Your daughter's fetishizing my brothers. I have literally no evidence whatsoever, and I don't know what she's told them about me. Who knows? Any advice would be appreciated, since my brain isn't working right now, and all I've been doing is crying. In the comments, Throwaway 2005 stuff says, "I'm really sorry that you're going through this right now. It's obvious that this situation is painful for you, and I give my condolences. I hope that maybe I can throw my hat in the ring here and hopefully suggest something helpful for you, though I might mess a thing or two up in my explanation, and I apologize in advance for that. Firstly, I think having a proper talk with your brothers was the best decision before doing anything else, as being able to get on the same page with them about the situation definitely seems like it helped a bit. Secondly, it seems your friend doesn't want to admit that she's wrong in this situation and is trying to play dumb, or might have convinced herself that she's doing nothing wrong here, even though that's clearly not the case. Finally, your choice of either telling her parents or blocking her might unfortunately be the best thing to do, as your brothers seem to think that that would be best as well. It's clear your friend doesn't value you in the same way that you value her, and feeding her fantasy won't make this better for anyone. I don't want to come to conclusions so quickly, but in the comments of the original post, I did see someone suggesting maybe speaking to a counselor at your school, and that might be the next best step if you're unsure what to do. If this behavior from your friend started last year, then maybe something happened to her that you don't know about, and she's doing this as a form of avoiding a potential problem, if this isn't something that she's done before. It could be wishful thinking on my part though. Keeping your feelings inside is not helping you, and I think that maybe venting your frustrations to someone just might help. Bottling up your emotions is not the best thing. I've done that a few times when I really shouldn't have, and it didn't help things. If a school counselor isn't an option for you, then maybe going to her parents to explain things would be best. I think you should maybe bring your brothers along to help back you up if you feel uncomfortable going by yourself. It will hopefully back up your claims, and hearing what she's doing straight from them might be the best thing. If that doesn't work, then I'm sorry to say, but blocking her may be the best solution. Though this might be hard to accept, cutting contact with her might be the best thing for the both of you. This whole situation sounds like it's affecting you in a negative way, and could potentially affect your brothers if someone chooses to believe some of the things that she's said about them and you. It sounds like it would be better if you two went your separate ways, as painful as that might be for you. I hope that some of this might be helpful for you, and that everything turns out well for you. That's all I have to say in terms of advice, but I do want to say one more thing. Do not blame yourself for her behavior. You are not the one in the wrong here. None of this is your fault, and you shouldn't put any blame on yourself for this entire situation. If you need someone to talk to, then I can try and lend an ear for you for a bit. I might not be a counselor or a therapist, but getting some of your frustrations out might help you feel a bit better. I wish you the best, and I hope that things get better for you. And now, on to the final update. So hi, me again. I don't actually know if anyone's still interested in what's happening, but I thought I'd update just for those who followed me. Long story short, I took your advice. I called my ex-friend and told her the following: I don't want you in my life anymore. And that was it. I know some people told me to set her reputation on fire because why not, but I feel like that would do more harm than good. And if she ever does grow up, I'm sure she doesn't want this whole drama fest to be tied to her forever. The first few days after that phone call were hectic. I couldn't stop crying, which made me feel pathetic, and I overall just felt lost. I haven't really made friends at school. Most people think of me as a weirdo who dropped her best friend of 10 years because she was jealous of her own brothers. So I guess lunch in the bathrooms from now on. I also got calls from my ex-friend's sister, who called me some names and ranted about how my brothers loved ex-friends so much and that I was such a cow for separating them. So I guess she's sticking to her story. So yeah, that's kind of it. I'm just spending time with myself and my bed. I don't know if I'll update again, but for now, that's it. Thanks again, everyone. In the comments, Acceptable Box 7500 says, I'm really surprised that the brothers aren't setting the record straight, not just for their sister's sake, but for their own. Best friend is so deluded. I'd be chomping at the bit to reject her narrative if I were them. Indeed, it's weird that she's seemingly alone in this. I don't know, they're all adults. What are they gonna do, walk around the high school parking lot talking to people? Seriously, going to a place full of minors and going, I have no interest in kissing, sleeping with, or dating this minor, when they are random grown-ass adults that have no business being there, is going to do the exact opposite. People really forget adults can't always get involved in bullshit between minors, especially when one is slinging around shit that gets people thrown in jail. These responses really are showing the age group that spends most time on Reddit, and it's not adults that have any real-world experience. Her friend is a minor claiming to have a relationship with adults who want nothing to do with her. She's basically putting them in danger of being accused of statutory rape by being in a relationship with a teenager. She did the smart thing cutting her friend off, but she should make sure to tell an adult like a counselor so there is a record of her friend's behavior. Her friend's sister is just as crazy if she thinks this sort of thing is acceptable. Depending on the state, 17 is usually the age of consent for most states, but that's just for America, so depending on her country. If the brothers are all being honest, which is always an if, then she absolutely needed to cut her friends off to keep them safe. If friend is living in an imaginary world, maintaining relationships with these 20-plus-year-old men, it's easy to see how someone overhears or reads her rantings and takes it to the police. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.